Alrighty, what is up, people? This is the stream before the stream. We are not going to be playing Dota today. This is for, because the patch came out and YouTube, more or less. I know this gets a lot of views when I put the patch reviews up. It just came out, to my understanding, a couple hours ago, so it's just a good time to get it out there so people can get the information and be able to play Dota a little bit more effectively. I might play Dota on my own just to kind of test out some of these changes. I haven't even read this. I just read a little bit, like the first 5 or so. Everything you see here, more or less, I might have read. So I'll be reacting in real time here. I might misunderstand something. That does happen sometimes. I offered Falcon if he wanted to come in and either judge my misunderstandings or otherwise, but I think he's playing a different game right now. We will be playing Neo in 45 minutes. Sorry, 35 minutes. 35 minutes like we're supposed to. This shouldn't last that long, so there'll be a small delay in which I won't be playing Neo yet, but I will be offline from this. Just because I have some stuff I have to get set up for it. If it takes longer, the time might be less, but we'll see what happens. I just don't want anybody to miss my Neo stream because I just decided arbitrarily to, there we go, decided arbitrarily to start early. True, So, basic neutrals now get 5% less bounty. This is a big nerf to jungle in general. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to jungle Legion Commander, I'm not going to go into the lane. Well, you got 5% less gold total from the creeps. That's not 5% less gold total because you do have passive gold, it'll still happen. But creep-wise, that's a pretty big negative. This also means that when carries start going into the jungle with like a Radiant Sun Spectre or something, or Battle Fury Anti-Mage, you're actually going to get less money than you did before. This is going to change things and mean that staying in lane is even more rewarding just for the pushing out for the potential hitting towers and the money and experience that are there. So this is a pretty big nerf. That's sad, actually, because a lot of heroes that are based around going into the jungle and just farming like crazy are actually a little bit worse compared to the early game heroes, like maybe a Juggernaut who's just going to fight. So this is interesting. Magic resistance reduction was from 6 to 5. This means stacking bracers is not really as nice as a total factor. This affects largely strength heroes who are buying bracers anyway, which is a lot of strength heroes, and some of the supports who buy bracers just for the survivability. It doesn't make it a bad item, it just puts it back in line with where it should be, probably. It's too much magic resistance, even though it does do diminishing with your basic magic resistance, so I think this was needed. You're going to see less, 3 bracers on people, though, for sure. Recipe cost for Midas went up by a whole 100. This is in line with the fact they've been nerfing Midas for basically forever. This means that a Midas takes almost another 90 seconds to pay off, become profitable, because of the cost is 100 more. You get 160 gold per 90 seconds. So obviously, what's a third of that? About 52, 53. 53 is a third of that. So it's 53 every, yeah, it takes about a little less than a minute. So a little bit less than 1 minute more until this becomes break even. That's important to think about when you're talking about its efficiency. This means that a late Midas is even worse as far as when you're going to become profitable from it. And it's also harder to get the recipe cost because you can lose that unreliable gold. So this is a really big nerf to Midas. They've been nerfing Midas for a while because it does have a place in the meta on some heroes. But now when you compare, a Midas, versus something else I could buy that'd be more early game, it's really painful to have all this money sunk into something that won't pay off very quickly. So this is a big deal. I'm not going to do the exact math right now. Maybe I'll get back to this. Looks like an armor reduction on chainmail, phase boots, which are made out of chainmail, medallion, which is made out of chainmail, and solar crest by 2, which is also made out of medallion. And solar crest costs more. This is because solar crest is one of the best items in the game, which is what Absolution was talking about the other day. It's because look at it even with the nerf. 10 armor, 10 attributes, 20 movement speed, 1.5 mana regen. Already solid, right? Good stats. Armor's a lot. The attributes are a lot. Movement speed's nice. Mana's nice. When cast on an ally, it gives them the armor, but it also gives them 80 attack speed. That's crazy. That's almost as much as a Mask of Madness, which is 110, I believe. And 10% movement speed, which means you can transfer move speed. It's percentage based, so if they're already fast, they're wicked fast. And on an enemy, it gives the 10 armor, negative 80 attack speed, which is a really big deal for characters who attack slow. And the slow. It's kind of a big deal because it's also permanent. The cooldown is the same as the duration, if I remember correctly. It doesn't say it there, but the cooldown and the duration, I believe, are the same. So taking away from 12 to 10 just means that you can't affect armor as dramatically, so you're not going to be instantly killing people with a solar crest, and it's not going to provide you the same survivability as it did before. The extra 400 gold is also going to make it a little bit harder for supports to get. I know it's only 100 gold, but it does add up, realistically speaking. So it takes a longer time to get a Solar Crest. I think this is necessary. There's too much armor in the early game, making harass in lane really hard. When someone has phase boots, it's really hard to harass them with like a Crystal Maiden or a Lion. Just hitting them from afar, they just take it. So seeing everybody's armor go down by one who buys those items, and especially on the Medallion and the Solar Crest, is going to make it harder for people to just become basically immune to physical damage. I mean, it's not immunity, but it's a lot of resistance. So this is really nice. This is also going to stop some of the death balling a little bit, because Solar Crest is so strong when people pick it up, it's only 4,000 gold. Meaning that a lot of like cores who needed a Solar Crest themselves can get this, and suddenly they're like a menace. So it takes a little longer for them to get it. It's a little bit less of an issue. Sentry Ward stock replenish time increased from 70 to 85 seconds. This means it's going to be easier for me to buy out sentries, which makes me happy when I play roaming. There's just going to be less sentries that have to be bought, because less will happen in an average game. This does buff all invis heroes, because less sentries can be put on the ground overall. So the map can't be littered with them quite to the same degree. So there's buff to Riki, buff to Bounty Hunter, Marana. So those heroes are going to appreciate it. And any support who feels like they don't want to waste sentry wards like me, it's nice. It's bad because you're going to have less sentries, which is kind of the reason why you buy them out of stock. But it's also nice just that there's less work to do, just like that aspect. So that's kind of cool. Grievel's Greed gold bonus per stack was reduced from 4 to 3. This is going to dramatically reduce Alchemist's... I can't even believe this, actually. Dramatically reduce Alchemist's gold. Early game, especially. So, the reason why is before, it would take 5 creeps before he's at max bonus gold at level 1. Then it took 6, 7, and 8, respectively, before he'd be at the max gold he can get for a creep. Now that it's 3, it's... basically 7, 9. No, that's not true. It's 7, 8. I'm just doing quick math here. 7, 8, 9, 11. Yeah, just because of the way the threes work out. So it's longer before he can be getting the maximum out of his thing. And it also means losing this by pressuring Alk out of lane or something, where he can't get any last hits for just long enough for this to cancel. I know it's 40 seconds, but still. It has a bigger effect on him just because, it takes longer to get it back. So this is a pretty big nerf. Chemical Rage no longer provides mana regen. Oh, thank goodness. This is a huge nerf. Him having the mana regen was way too strong. What? Oh, I forgot about that. Okay, sorry. I was just reading the Ags part. I forgot about it. So, him having mana regen was dumb because you could actually get the mana back for what Chemical Rage cost by Chemical Raging. As long as you had enough to start, you get it all back at the end of Chemical Rage. Especially at later levels, you get way more. Now that they take this away, it means he has to buy mana-related items. So think about Alchemists when they do like a split push build, right? Mana's poor on that. Radiance, no mana. Octarine Core does have some, but it's late in the build. He might buy an Armlet, no mana. They buy Phase Boots a lot, no mana. Travels, no mana. He has problems. And he can't wait that long because he won't get farmed. So he actually has to buy a Soul Ring, like, for sure now. Or other early game items to give you mana regen. Otherwise, there's no way. So this is going to be a big hit to him. Talent that does damage got reduced by 20. This is dramatic. He does way less damage if he takes the damage talent. So he can't actually just be Troll Warlord and do as much damage, like, instantly. It's a pretty big nerf, actually, the 20 damage. The 25 talent, I think a lot of pros go to Chemical Rage regeneration because you literally can't die and you're already doing enough. But just for like the memes, I guess, of attacking as fast as Troll Warlord, he just lost 0.05 base attack time, which actually does matter when you have high attack speed on the talent, which is a pretty, it's a notable change. So he'll be attacking slower, he'll be attacking weaker, no mana regen, and getting less gold. So this is going to be a huge nerf to Alchemist. It's because he's really strong. I think he'll still be a good hero. But I definitely think this might make a little bit more counterplay around his kit, where you might be able to actually stop him from becoming a menace. Primal Split Storm's Windwalk damage increased from 100, increased by 40 at all levels. I forget what Windwalk is. Is that when he walks through you and you take damage? I looked that up real quick. I won't be able to find it in DotA as easy. Brewmaster, Windwalk. Alright, let's see. Windwalk. Temporary invisibility, bonus movement speed, and attack damage when invisible. I don't know why I've ever seen that. Is that only... No, I don't know. I guess I never play Brewmaster anymore. Interesting. So does this more damage? That's very interesting. So he gets a big buff just when he hits you. Okay, so when he goes invisible and comes back, what's up? Alright, let me take a shot at this. Kang Mayathu? That's my best guess. If I butchered it, I'm sorry. We're just on to review the patch real quick, so we won't really be here all that long, but a little while longer. We're pretty early in the patch. So this is nice. This is just giving Brewmaster a little bit more power when he splits. It's because Brewmaster's just not that strong of a hero, realistically speaking, at higher MMRs. He's just too... He has some going for him, but I feel like he just doesn't have enough to be, like, relevant. So this is just, it's nice to see a buff. Spin Web Scepter upgrade reduced from 12 charges to 10. This is because she could cover the whole map in webs. Good. Scepter upgrade reduced from 30 movement speed to 20. So now Broodmother getting a Aghanims isn't literally she moves at Bloodseeker speed and everywhere in the map. Now she still has to be a little bit choosy about the webs because, you know, she doesn't have them everywhere and she's not moving quite as fast. It's still really fast though. I don't think this is going to dramatically change her kit. It just makes her a little bit more reasonable to deal with when she does get an axe. It's probably still necessary to buy one though, if you're split pushing. Chaos Strike max crit was increased. Ooh. Later levels. So as you go. So it's 0, 5, 10, 15. That extra 15% on a crit is nice when you're doing 200 damage. It's 30 damage more. And then lifesteal off of that, which lifesteal is 70. So, I mean, 20-ish. I'm just estimating. Like 20 damage, 20 health. That's kind of nice. I don't know, it's a chance, but still, it's nice to see Chaos Knight getting a little love. Cooldown reduction talent at 15 was also buffed by 3%. That's not dramatic, but it is nice. It makes that a little bit more tempting because his ult is really the big thing that separates him from other heroes. Having it on a lower cooldown is what would make him a more effective carry overall. As much as the strength is nice, and I would argue probably still take it a lot of the time, being able to cast your ult more often is a big deal for Chaos Knight, as well as the fact that you can get Reality Rift to pierce, extra Chaos Bolt stuff. I mean, lower cooldowns on that, just a bit even bigger factor, so he can be a lot scarier. I think I actually might take this sometimes. That's pretty big. It's not going to change the hero dramatically, but I like it. Holy Persuasion maximum creep level was reduced from 4566 to 3456. Okay, that means that it's harder for Chen to get noteworthy creeps until later. So before, he could start on level 4 creeps. Not anymore, he has to start at 3. And he doesn't get to 6 until his level 7, basically, for him. Versus when it used to be level 5. So it's going to be a lot harder for Chen to get a good creep, bring it out of jungle, than affect the lane like that. So it's longer for him to push, longer for him to kill. Divine Favor heal amplification was reduced by 2% at all levels. Ouch. That stinks. Active cooldown was increased by 20 seconds at all levels. That's when he casts it to teleport them to Chen. This means Chen is just getting nerfed all across the board. It's harder for him to push. It's harder for him to kill in lane. He doesn't heal quite as much. He doesn't get the chance to teleport you as often. And the talent that increased... Oh, okay. Alright, so he lost 20 seconds on Divine Favors active, but the talent now subtracts an extra 10. So we actually, if you take the talent of 15, at that point you're only 10 seconds behind versus the 20 that it looks like. However, that means until 15, you're kind of just suffering with the 20 seconds. And even then, it's still a nerf because it requires you to take this talent and there's still 10 seconds off. So that's a pretty big nerf to Chen. Eventually, we're going to stop seeing Chen at all because these are dramatic. This is like some of the biggest changes in this patch. He's just getting ruined. Intelligence increased the base by 1 and a 0.2 gain. This just means Clockwork can actually cast spells in lane. It's not dramatic, but it just helps to have a bigger mana pool because he wants to cast Battery Assault and Cogs and run at you. He needs a mana pool to do that. His base movement speed was increased by 5. That's much bigger. He needs to catch up to you. Being faster is a huge deal for him. That's a big thing. I think Clockwork might actually see play again. Maybe a little bit more casting and spell amp and some speed he needed desperately. Power cogs knockback radius increased by 15. So if you, I don't know if that means when you get hit how far you go, or how, I think it's how far you go if you get hit, not how likely you get hit. You know what I mean? Because you could say the hitbox was increased, but they would probably say hitbox. So Power Cog's knockback radius is increased, so when you get hit by cogs, you get thrown back farther. This is a very big buff to Clockwork, because he can really disrupt fights now. It feels like you already... That's... Okay, fair. Fair, Falcon. I agree. If you want to jump in the Discord, by the way, to weigh in, Falcon, you're quite welcome to join the stream. This is just nice, though. It's nice to push people away from cogs, because that's the point, right? You're trying to get people away from your ally or away from their ally who you're attacking. So it's an improvement. These are nice. Quality of life. Static Storm maximum damage per second was increased at later levels. That's nice. Static Storm radius increased from 450 to 500. That's gigantic. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Static Storm, if it's placed perfectly with the kinetic field, I believe casts the whole kinetic field. Just barely, though. Like, you'll barely be in it at all the sides. If it's even remotely off, you can get into one side kinetic field and not be in Static Storm. This 50 increase on the radius means no matter what, he can easily make sure Static Storm covers the entire kinetic field, and a little bit outside it'll spill. This is big because you can get the agonyms that makes it mute. Increased duration. And that means it's a bigger cloud of, muting. Which means it's very hard to get out of it if you have a slow to go with it. So that means that, like, with an Atos or another hero who has slows, you could throw a mute ult, and, like, you don't get out of that. It's way too big. The damage increase is pretty big, too. I know it's only 0, 25, 50, but that matters for Disruptor. It makes it easier for him to get solo kills on some non-tanky carries into the mid-game, mid to late game. And this is nice. I mean, I don't think it's going to make a lot of people play Disruptor who aren't doing it now, but this is going to be annoying. Static Storm's a really good ult. Precision Aura was buffed again. 2, 4, 6, 8. That's just nice, I guess. It's nice for her to be able to push a little bit more efficiently, because she gives this to, like, the catapults and stuff when she activates it. And they're going to get another 8% on top of what they were already getting at max level. It helps when she has ranged allies like Luna and Medusa or whoever. Her talent makes the blind go up by 10%. Okay, I now think that you don't have any justification in taking 14 agility unless you're not against right clickers. A 50% blind is, like, huge. Unless they already have MKBs somehow before 15 minutes, which means you already lost anyway, or if they're not right clickers, this is so good. That's a crazy percentage. That's nuts. This is a nice buff to Drow. I don't think the Precision Aura will change anything too dramatically, but it's going to help her in the late game. If the game lasts like 45 minutes and you have a Drow on your team, and you have other ranged heroes, it's going to be really hard to fight against, because all of you are doing just... The attack speed's nuts. It's actually nuts. Elder Titan. I'm expecting a nerf. I haven't read it. I expect a nerf. Astral Spirit cooldown increased. Oh, of course it was. It's too good. So instead of 17, it's 23 scaling down to 17. That's a change of 6 at level 1. That's a big deal. It means that Elder Titan can't put Spirit through you, do damage, and then get all those buffs and come at you as often. The 6 delay is actually really big. The Astral Spirit buff is now also dispellable, meaning that if he gets the movement speed and the damage from having his Astral Spirit pass through stuff, you can purge him. That's a big nerf, because there are definitely situations in which that sort of purge is just not available, and it needs to be. So this means Elder Titan can be shut down. He can't really be a carry now since it's dispellable. I know he doesn't often get played as a carry, but we've tried to play him as like a sort of core, like a semi-carry. Now that it can be purged, now that it's longer at most levels, he just won't get the same farm and the same harass and lane. I think that the Astral Spirit cooldown is really big. Like, he's playable because he's so good anyway in the mid game, but his early game is going to suffer pretty dramatically. So you're going to need a strong laner to put with Elder Titan, because he just can't, like, trade as well. Enchantress base damage reduced by 4. Dramatic. Oh my god, yes. Last hits, no thank you. Denies, no thank you. Harass, no thank you. Nature Descendant's heal was reduced by 3 at earlier levels than scaling up. That's because basically each... So... Each Wisp heals a certain amount per second, I believe. I think that's how it works. So... at level 1, it's 4 wisps that now heal at 7. So it's 28, 28. Yeah, I know, right? I think it's 28 per second for 11 seconds, right? Because that would make sense because it's a little about 300 health. That sounds about right for Ninja's attendance. Am I wrong? I think that's how it works. The point is this actually is bigger than it looks because each wisp matters. So, like, even just at the 12 to 11 aspect, if it's one difference from 10 wisps, that's 10 health per second for 11 seconds, which is 110 health less at the level 3. So this is a pretty big deal, especially early on. Impetus damage was reduced by 2% at all levels. That's really big because Impetus is way too strong. This means Enchantress can't just instantly kill supports in 3 hits. Maybe it'll take her 4. I love this. This is one of the best changes in the whole thing. Enchantress is a very annoying hero. People complain about her all the time. You know, I love her, but I hate her. Faceless Void agility gain was reduced from 3.2 to 3. I mean, he's kind of strong right now, so I see it. I'm not saying a lot of pros are like necessarily playing him, but he has a lot of potential. Chronosphere cooldown was increased. Ags is... Okay, I think Ags is a better build now because it reduces it statically. Now that you're not going to get the 20 seconds off, which is kind of a big deal because Void needs his Chrono to get kills and fights. That's kind of a big deal. 20 seconds does matter. I might buy Ags now. I usually don't buy Ags, but this is kind of a big deal. That sucks. The agility I'm fine with. He needed it. He attacks too fast, and he does too much damage, so that's fair. Chronosphere, that sucks, though. Side Gunner Scepter attack rate changed from every 1.1 to 1.2 seconds. This is going to slow down Gyrocopter dramatically if he buys Aghanims. I know it's only 0.1 seconds, but that reduces the DPS pretty big. So I had been talking to Falcon, and I had admitted to him that it turned out that Aghanims after Maelstrom is the most efficient item you could get after a Maelstrom for farming. For DPS anyway, I mean. Which counts farming more or less. It's the most efficient item afterward. Changing this by 0.1 seconds means that Maelstrom Aghanims might not be the most efficient farming build now. I doubt it, but it's putting it more in line with the other builds in theory, making it less obviously the best. And also just slows them down regardless. So this is a really big change. It's not gigantic, but it's obviously showing that Gyrocopter's a little too strong with his farming game, so... Yeah, I still see it being core too. I think it's still going to be picked up all the time. But it's nice to see that it's not as good. It'll slow him down. IO, I expect nerfs. Level 10 talent change from Spirit Supply slow to 90 gold. That's obviously significantly worse. You need the slow. At 15, it went from extra spirit damage to Spirit Supply slow. So you can still get the slow, but it takes longer, meaning you can't be like a sudden crazy IO really early in the game. And at 20, instead of a lot of gold, you get 75 spirit damage. So this is basically back-ending the spirit strat. You can't get the slow for 5 extra levels. You can't get the damage for another 5 extra levels after that. The gold was front-ended, but now it's lower, which is arguably better for a support. So if you want to play support IO, these are all great. You get the gold much earlier. You take the gold, probably. Yeah, you take the gold. What was it before, by the way? Yeah, you just take the gold, you get some money, and you just don't worry about the fact that you don't have the other things anymore. You just take some armor, you take some health regen, you take some armor, and then 25 you take like relocate cooldown or whatever, and it's like way better. But for core IO, sucks. Everything's pushed back 5 levels, which means he can't get early kills as easily. He still can get kills. The Aghanim still works. It just means that at 15, he's not getting the crazy amount of damage. Yeah, it just takes a little longer. He's still going to be strong. IOs will still be in your games, but a little less. Yeah, it might actually... So it's funny in Dota. At our level, we're not really going to realize whether or not this is big until we see it play out in core games. Like in pro games and stuff, or close to it. But it's possible that this delay in his dominance actually makes it not playable. So it's always a question of, like, how long do you have to invest in the Ag strat on a core, like a mid IO or safe lane IO, mid really, mid IO, until, you know, it's still worth it when it pays off. If you have to wait 20 minutes, is it still worth it? Yeah, sure. What about 30? Is it still worth it? Maybe. What about 40? Would it be worth it if you got your stuff at 40? No, probably not. You're not going to be effective by the time the game's over. That's exactly what I mean. Yeah, if it takes too long to get IO to be scary, then it's going to be a huge deal. So there's no slow anymore until 15. That means he cannot fight you until after 15 because you'll just walk away. Stun by. The reason he's scary now is because the spirits hit you and they hit you repeatedly, so it's just slow, slow, slow. So even if you stun him, it's like slow, slow. You're now out of the thing. Now he's already moving again. He's got you. So this is a big factor. This is a huge nerf. Thank you very much. And it didn't even affect. It actually is a benefit for support IO. I'll more likely play support IO because that gold earlier. I know it's more gold if it was later, but it doesn't matter. You'd rather it at level 10. Blinding Light cooldown was buffed tremendously. The cast range was buffed too. A lot at late game too. 100 at level 4. This is huge. So they're basically saying, please get Blinding Light earlier. It's really good. I will. The cast range is crazy. The cooldown's crazy. Chakra Magic Mana Leak increased by a little bit. It was nerfed at level 1, but it was buffed by 0.5 at all other levels. And the Will-O-Wisp Flicker talent went up by 1 because that's actually really nice. It hits huge now. That's so long. You'll probably destroy it by then though, but it's still nice. This is the cast range is bigger than the cooldown in my opinion because usually you're not using a lot of Blinding Light until you're at later levels. Like you don't have like a ton of it. So these cooldowns weren't really mattering. You weren't like gonna Blinding Light multiple times as much. It's definitely nice, but it's not like gigantic. It's bigger when you do a combo with Chakra Magic and do a double Blinding Light. That's going to be a bigger factor when you're already like level 15 and you just go Blinding Light and then reduce it by 6 seconds or whatever it is, 7 seconds, and you have it back really, really fast. I like this a lot. I think the Chakra Magic Mana Leak, I'm sad that it's going up by 0.5 at max level, but it is really bad. As I was trying to explain to Drakus, it just does not do any mana, which I was glad about because I hate Mana Leak. But it's probably, it's good now, I guess. I don't know good, but it's better. So this is probably needed. It's just a crappy ability. Like if you watch somebody with Chakra Magic on them run around in a circle, it really doesn't drain that much mana. So it's needed. Health regen on Kunkka's talent went down by 2. Strength talent went down by 5. You right. Thanks. So this is nice because a lot of Kunkkas went the health regen just to be more like in the fights. Like, okay, I'll just keep alive and just do my thing. You know, I'll keep hitting people. At 20, they didn't. Some people take the Torn AoE, but a lot of them were taking strength because, of course, it's increasing your cleave, increasing your health pool. So now he's just not as tanky. He lost 2 health regen. He lost 5 strength, which is a little bit of health regen, and there's the health pool, less damage. This is really nice. I don't think Kunkka's like broken, but he's really strong. So it's nice to see that some of his talents that are more towards him being tanky are being nerfed, because that's the biggest problem with Kunkka is that he's tanky. He's still tanky. You know, yeah, of course, but armlet and this was the problem, right? That was the real issue, is that he could stack multiple healing things together with this and just be immortal. Now he's at least killable, just not very. Summon Wolf Scepter spawn amount increased from 2 to 3, meaning the Scepter spawns 3 wolves instead of 2. The bounty was reduced by 5, making it less beneficial for people who are killing them. Shapeshift cooldown was reduced by 20 at early levels, making it Lycan be able to push earlier. Huh, I did not expect that. I expected an Ags buff. This is actually really nice. Ags is buyable. I would say it's buyable. This gold is not much at all. Like, 15 gold's not a lot. I know there's 3 of them, but still. Like, you could buy an Ags at some point. Like, just like a late-ish game, you know, buy an Ags. They'll push really crazily. Like, they attack pretty fast, and they attack pretty hard at that point. You'll already have level 4 wolves by the time you get an Ags, of course. 50 damage, and there's 3 of them. So just 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50, 50. Like, that's actually really big. I also like the shapeshift being lowered cooldown for him. It just means he can do more early. That's crazy. Good buffs to Lycan pushing. Sacred Arrow base damage was reduced. by 40 at all levels. That means that you're more reliant on the bonus damage instead of... Oh, actually, they put it there too. Look at that. Ticket arrow bonus damage was increased by 40. So, basically... So, I know it looks like crap on the surface, Falcon, and I'm not saying you could buy it flat. You need to wait until like a 4th or 5th item. But when you're at that point where you're like a 4th item, and pushing is the only thing that matters for Lycan at that point, if you're not going like a solo fighting build... I don't think there's anything as efficient for pushing as an Ags would be at that point. Like, 3 wolves with very little cost, spawning all the time. It is 45, but remember, they have to kill them themselves. They have to get the last hits on the wolves. And the whole time, the wolves are going to be destroying the creep wave. Do you get gold? I don't know the answer to this. Do you get gold for creeps that your wolves kill when they're pushing? I actually don't know the answer to that, but if you do, you'll get more gold because there's more wolves in the wave trying to get last hits for you. Meaning this will actually get you more money. And the extra 5 gold across the whole thing does not matter compared to much more pushing. No, I'm just saying as a benefit. Like, think about like all the facets. It could get you money. It's going to push. Well, right, you're already going to have a Necro Book. You're already going to have an AC. You might have a Deso if you think that's your build. If not, that's fine. Get something else. You're going to have your Treads or Phase or whatever you like. Maybe a Helm. If you think that's the case. And then the Ags. Because it's just going to increase your pushing that much more. Like, because you can summon your wolves too. So if you go to a tower that has a wolf wave coming, you summon your wolves, the Necro creeps, a Helm of the Dom creep, and run at it. And literally, it's going to destroy the tower. It's, you know... It's a lot. I'm not saying it's a beautiful item, but it's viable. It wasn't viable before. I'm glad that they end loaded this, so it shouldn't do as much base damage. I hate point blank arrows doing a lot. So the idea that a point blank arrow does 40 less, and you actually have to have distance to do that, is cool. It still rewards a Mirana for getting long range arrows by doing the same amount of damage, but it means you have to get the long range arrows. Moonlight Shadow mana cost increased from 75 to 125. I don't think that's going to dramatically change anything. I guess it just means Mirana has to have some sort of mana regen. She will anyway, but sure. I'm glad to see any nerf to Mirana since she's kind of strong. Void no longer does half damage during daytime. That means that... I assume that means that it does full damage always. Not it does 0. Right? Yeah. It looks like it does damage always. If that's the case, it's better for farming. That's what Void should be for. So it's nice that he can actually, you know, farm with it. Using Void to get last hits. So that's a really nice buff to Night Stalker. He can actually get money. Ogre Magi, base damage reduced by 4. This means trading when you're Ogre Magi, since you're so tanky, is worse. You won't be able to just push supports out of lane by just walking up and just smacking them until they leave. They still can't really push you away, but at least the trading's a little bit better on their behalf. I like this because Ogre shouldn't do a lot of damage. Screw Ogre. Good. Juxtapose, illusion damage increased from 20 to 22. Right, exactly, Falcon. He might actually be able to do something. Exactly. Night Stalker is actually a hero. This is nice because you have to be able to clear the illusions. I'm not saying PL's overplayed. He's definitely not overplayed. But the most annoying part is that the illusions just do not take enough damage. So to see them take a little bit more is just a step in the right direction. Jaunt is now disabled by Root. I don't know why it wasn't before. It should have been always. I don't understand why Ethereal Jaunt would not be disabled by Root. Agility gain increased from 1.7 to 2.2. That's really nice. Puck needs a buff. Oh. Big buff! Big buff. Ooh. Ooh. Phase shift is no longer disabled by Root. Oh. Oh, I can play Puck again. I can play Puck again, everybody. Atos? Okay, bye. Oh, so good. It doesn't even matter that Jaunt's disabled by Root, because you phase shift, and when you're phase shift, you are invulnerable, I believe, or hidden. And I think you're not counted as rooted during that, meaning you can Jaunt anyway. Or as Wade. Yeah, that's awesome. Talent to Waning Rift went... Ooh, another second off Waning Rift. That's big. Waning Rift's cooldown is already kind of low. And the Illusory Orb distance and speed at 20 also went up. Both talents are better. Yeah, it should be reverted. This is really stupid. So I don't care that Johnson's able to root. Don't care. Agility gain of 0.5 is a big deal for attack speed and armor. This is huge. This is so broken. Being able to just say bye. The only way to stop Puck now is solid stuns and hexes. I think the silence is actually one of the biggest deals here. His silence is already such a low cooldown. It's a 13-second cooldown at its max. So, you know, it used to be 13 minus 8 is 5. And now it's a 4-second cooldown on a silence that lasts like 3 seconds. This is big. I'll play Puck again. Soul Catcher damage reduced percentage-wise by 5 at all levels. This is because it does too much of your health when you activate it. It's kind of stupid. I'm glad it got nerfed. It needs it. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Well, I mean, to be fair, he used to be able to throw Orb and then get out anyway, Falcon. Because it used to not get blocked by Root. It's just a different skill now. It means Puck has to use Phase Shift to get out of the Root. Versus before, where you could throw an Orb for free and then wait to see if he's in trouble and then activate it. He has to waste the cooldown just to get out, like to save himself from the Root. Meaning that he can't do a wait-and-see approach. Because you can throw an orb behind you and then decide if you're going to go to it or not after. Like, be like, oh, am I actually in danger here? Maybe not. Now you don't have that option. Okay, that's fair, Falcon. Good point. Good point. Movement speed talent went down as well because he's too fast. I like both these changes. He's still the same general hero, just a little bit weaker. Base strength reduced by 2 on Tiny, but the same damage, so he's just less tanky, less magic resistance, and less health. Tree Volley damage reduced from 120 to 100%. Ooh. Tree Volley mana cost increased from 150 to 200. Ugh. Tree Volley cooldown increased from 12 to 15. Ugh. The Ag's too strong. That's what that said. So, Ag's is probably still good. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably still good. But 20% less damage? Ouch. Costs more is hard for Tiny because he's a spammer. So, like, it's gonna go fast. And a 3-second extra cooldown does give you a better chance to play around it. Because if you stun him now, it's down for 15 seconds. You have a, like, if he uses it and you immediately stun, you've got yourself set up for success. So this is definitely a big nerf to Tiny. This is going way longer than I thought. Soul Rip max unit count was reduced from 8 to 14 to 8 to 11. It just means later on Soul Rip does not have the same number of units, but I'm assuming the heal's better. Oh, yeah. I don't have a calc on me. Let me open my calculator because I do not want to just do...
I can learn to understand.
Shut up. Alright. Calculator. Just faster this way. We'll do early, late. Well, this one's bigger than I thought. There's some actual changes. My calculator is huge right now. I gotta minimize it here. Okay, so let's do... I just want to do level 1 and level 4 because that's all that matters. Old Soul Rip with max units was 8 times 22. I could have done that math in my head. 176. It's actually the same now, so I don't even know why I did that. I forgot that it didn't change at level 1. Alright, so level 4. 14 times 34 is what it used to be. 476 versus 473. So the actual value in the health has gone down. I know, right? Purge does that too. The health has technically gone down if you have max units. If. However, per unit is better. So when you have anything less than maximum, it is significantly better as you get level 2 on. Making Soul Rip a much better late game ability. Because oftentimes there'll only be, like, what, 3 heroes, 3 creeps or something? That's 6. You're not even close to the 11. This is a way better ability. It shouldn't be reliant on so many units. Flesh Golem current health loss per second increased from 7 to 9. Ooh. That's big. That's crazy, dude. I like that a lot. Undying might come back into the play. I'm not saying he's not played, but he's not played often. And I think the Soul Rip buff is a big one. And Flesh Golem, that's a big one too. He's more of a threat just to stand in the middle of a team and just exist. Without even needing anything. Like, his damage is coming from Flesh Golem. So, like, that's it. I love Undying. I'm glad. Earth Shock damage increased 25 at all levels. Ursa's kind of strong, but I know he does have some problems with being kited, so it's nice to see he has a little bit more burst potential. Plague Ward base attack time improved from 1.5 to 1.4. Great. Awesome. I'll always have the debuff on me. Super. I love Venomancer. Venomous Gale interval damage increased from 10 to 1. Oh, awesome. Extra 5 damage from Venomous Gale per second, too. It's not like it lasts 15 seconds. Oh, super. It's almost like 75 more damage total at all. 75 damage added on to its already damage at all levels. Awesome. I love Venomancer. The Plague Ward's huge. It's going to make pushing towers really big. The Venomous Gale, it's only 75, but like the Plague Ward's a huge deal. So overall, I think a lot of these changes are just screw easy armor, screw Midas, make strength heroes not broken, not as many sentries, and then a lot of the other things are just nerfing the heroes that saw the most play and buffing some of the heroes that didn't see as much play. Like Puck is not really that great of a hero, honestly. I love Puck, but just not super strong. So they're just trying to see this. They're just trying to fix this a little bit. Well, he's not going to fall off as much anymore, Falcon, because now his Soul Rip transitions better into the late game, and Golem is better too. Yeah, that's painful for Huskar. You're right. Huskar also sometimes picks up Solar Crest, so that hurts Huskar too. So yeah, big deal. Huskar also sometimes picks up Phase Boots. Alright, I won't delve too much in, because I already covered everything. I mean, I'm glad. It doesn't affect too many of my heroes, but I'll definitely play Puck. And I might play Undying off lane too. He might be worth it. Other than that, these aren't really heroes I play, besides maybe Void and Coddle. But I don't play them often enough, so it doesn't really count. Alright, so I'm going to end this video, because I'm going to start with a Neo in like 3 minutes, as fast as I can launch the game anyway. For everybody on YouTube, I appreciate you for watching. For everybody on Twitch, I'll be right back. It might take a second to launch and get the settings correct, so I'll be back.